What's up, guys? It's me, Bradley Marcus. Welcome back to the channel. Little bot. It's about the best I can do. Yeah, if you're new here, I pretty much teach you how to be happy. That's kind of my whole goal. And what qualifications do I have? Well, I've spent 40,000 minutes recently, now 40,000 minutes in meditation. So there's one. I have cracked the code to life, basically. No, just kidding. But yeah, long story short, I've spent a lot of time uh, in meditation as well as a lot of time studying ancient Buddhist texts. And the cool thing about the Buddhists is they're solely focused on one thing, and that is not to be happy in the future, but to be happy right here, right now. I also study the oldest form of Buddhism called Theravadan Buddhism, that isn't really a religion. It's actually more of an art form of the mind. And a lot of what allows us to be happy in today's day and age is our relationship in our mind to reality, right? Because there are some things that are out of our control that we cannot change. For example, I want to live in a house that I own. I currently don't own this house. I can't change that right now in this exact moment. I can make it a goal to change that, absolutely, of course, and it is a goal of mine. But that does not mean that I should be sad because I am not in a house that I own. So what we often find is that our mind perseverates a lot in these negative connotations, these negative situations in our own minds, and it just makes us unhappy. But the Buddhists, on the other hand, are all about letting go of attachment and finding that peace within ourselves. And what this does is it's twofold. One, it gears you up to be happier. And two, it not only gears you up to be happier, but you're actually geared up to then do the things that you need to do to achieve your goals because you're not constantly being bothered by the negative thoughts and negative patterns and just the general sadness that is in your life. So, what are we talking about today? Well, I want to talk to you about how to meditate like a Buddhist. Um, it's really interesting how much we have complicated this idea that is mindfulness meditation. And basically, us Americans, especially over here in the West, have, originally rejected meditation and mindfulness because, well, we come from an Abrahamic background, from, Europe and the rest of the Western people. And in reality, meditation is so profound and enlightening, no pun intended, and helpful, and not religious really at all. As I was mentioning, back to Theravada Buddhism being some of the oldest forms of meditation. So, the other interesting thing I wanted to point out is, in the West, we rejected Buddhism and rejected, meditation, but then we actually ended up commercializing it, repackaging it, and overcomplicating it so we could sell it. And so I'm here not to sell you any of those things. I think there are plenty of teachers out there that can. Instead, I want to use this platform to give knowledge away for free, and for you guys to just basically understand these teachings. So, yeah, I'm going to teach you how to meditate like a Buddhist today. So let's just pick up from there. It's not that complicated. It really isn't. There's only one thing that you need to meditate, and that is your breath. And if you have breath and you're alive, then you can meditate. The second thing is, if you want to, I would recommend building a space. For example, over here, my meditation space. I have this cushion that I like to sit on, but honestly, you can do it in a chair, in a car, on a train. It really doesn't matter. In the beginning, it's going to be helpful to find a quiet place that you won't be bothered or distracted. I will say that is extremely important. Make it easy on yourself because meditation at times can be work. It can be blissful, it can be peaceful, and it can be hard, it can be frustrating. It can be many different things, but in reality, what you're doing is you are working to understand yourself. And I think that's the next thing I want to point out is that the truth is that meditation is not witchcraft, it is not magic, it's not even praying. It is simply observing. Simply observing. If you can remember that, it is simply observing, then you will be a lot further than most people who try to meditate because a lot of people complicate it. Simply observing. And what that means is you are not attaching yourself to any part of the experience that when you are doing meditation, and you are not creating ideas and stories about the meditation. You are simply being. That's it. I lost my train of thought because I wanted to get somewhere else in this. I want to tell you quickly about kind of the step-by-step process now of how to begin meditating like a Buddhist. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is when you get in that quiet place where you're not going to be distracted, get in a comfortable position, make sure that position is enough of a position where you are not going to fall asleep, where you are going to remain awake and alert. And typically that's sitting up for me. Maybe remove your back off of a wall so you're not leaning up against that and start falling asleep. If you end up falling asleep during meditation, let me know. I can make another video strictly about that. The next thing you're going to do is you're going to just simply acknowledge the fact that you are trying to meditate. And the reason this is important is if we just try to jump into practice right away, we may lose sight of why we're there in the first place. So you could kind of equate this to like maybe when you go hang out with a friend or a partner, you're telling yourself, hey, I'm going to spend time with this person. So that's the same thing with meditation. You're saying, I'm going to spend time with myself. And you do this so that you don't lose sight of what you're doing and why. Same thing with hanging out with your partner. If you're hanging out with them, you don't want to get distracted on your phone. You don't want to lose sight of why you're there. So you're just kind of laying the groundwork, laying the foundation. I'm going to meditate right now. The next thing I like to do is just do what's called noting. Noting is a really good meditation technique, especially for beginners, where you start to just notice different things going around you. So you're listening to sounds, you're feeling the cushion under your butt. One of my favorite techniques for noting is to sit as still as possible and just note the micro movements of the body, because you'll notice that gravity is slightly pulling us in all these different directions. So just feeling that. You can try this with me right now if you want to. What does that feel like to just feel the micro movements? And what this is doing is it's kind of honing in your focus. It's quieting down any outside noise or even mental chatter. And it's, again, allowing you to get to this nice, comfortable place of peace. And then the third and final thing that you're going to need goes back to the only thing that you're going to need, which is your breath. Because from here, your goal is to simply observe your breath. And I know that sounds so freaking boring. Like, can we just call that out, that is so boring? It is hard at times. But you know what? Once you start to do it more and more, and you start to implement other little techniques to kind of help you, it can be extremely satisfying and extremely like blissful and almost pleasurable in a lot of ways. And I think that's a really fun thing that people don't talk about too much with meditation. But I find it to be funny because when I look at, or I listen to other teachers, or I look at, instructions, it really is just about following that breath. And it can feel boring. So I hear you if you feel that way. But it's okay. Let it be boring. It's not meant to always be easy. And I think that's one last thing I will end as a quick tip, which is basically you are going to approach this practice with whatever you have for that day, whatever mood you're in. And I want you to think of yourself like an ocean. Sometimes the ocean is calm when it crashes. Sometimes the waves are long. Sometimes they're slow. Sometimes it's erratic and aggressive and intense. And the truth is that we are like the ocean. Whatever we approach our practice with, however we are going to sit down and start our practice for that day, we may be calm, we may be aggressive, we may be slow, we may be fast. It's okay. So understand that you are like the ocean in every word and every sense of that word right there, what it means to you. And so just feel that and acknowledge that. And so if you're sitting down and you're finding yourself getting bored, simply observe. If you are sitting down and you are frustrated with your practice, simply observe. If you are breathing peacefully and happily and you are on blissful cloud 9, simply observe. So that's the story. That's the basic teachings. And this was a little bit of a quick one, a little bit of a rant. But if you guys liked it, you know what to do. And also check out some of the other videos. Fun fact, I'm writing a book right now. So if y'all want to support that, I would like to get 10,000 people to sign up to my email list so I can show a publisher like, hey, people want this book. And the book title is How to Enjoy Life. Basically, I'm going to be teaching you a very basic Buddhist teaching, but it's not really about Buddhism. It's about finding the balance in life and about finding the balance between work and friends and how to actually be happy and not get caught up in the rat race of life and trying to do so much where you just are working so much that you're not even enjoying life. But then on the flip side of things, not overdoing all the pleasurable experiences where you're constantly out partying or drinking or even doing things that you know are bad for you, like watching TV too much. Even though it's a good, pleasurable thing, it can create what I like to call kind of a cognitive dissonance. It creates an unstable and unbalanced life, let's put it that way. And there's so much more. I'm really excited. I'm already 10,000 pages, excuse me, 10,000 words. That would be wild. 10,000 words in. And yeah, it's going to be simple, easy read. It's going to be like 100 pages, not 10,000. Although I do have an idea for a 10,000 page book, which I'll tell you about later. And yeah, thanks for listening, guys. Thanks for, if you're a fan of me and you've been around the channel for a little bit, I appreciate it. You have a lot of places you could give your attention, and for you to give me 10 minutes means a lot. Okay, may you be well, may you be free of suffering, and I'll see you in the next video.